Real estate is about freedom, choice freedom, time freedom, and money freedom, and the impact you can make with that freedom. But it doesn't come without cost. Your freedom takes work. That's why Neil Timmins brings together the tools you need to build your real estate legacy, from tips and tricks to interviews with industry titans. It's all here in one place. Real Grit. Let's get to it.
What if I told you you can make 20 times the return of a single family fix and flip on your next big deal? Well, it's actually possible. It's possible inside the world of commercial real estate. Say, I'm inviting you to this free challenge. It starts August 15th. It's totally free. It's a 5-day challenge where I'm going to take you and deep dive into the world of commercial real estate, more specifically, capital multiplier properties, what that is, how we identify them. I'm going to show you how to identify them, how to evaluate them, and how to lock them up risk-free. I'm going to give you all the paperwork to do it. It's totally free. You can sign up to join us at www.20xprofitchallenge.com/real grit. That's www.20xprofitchallenge.com/real grit. And I'll see you in the challenge. Hey, everybody, welcome to Real Grit. I'm Neil Timmins. I've got Amy Johnson here. She's based out of Salt Lake City. She's the mother of 5. She's got an interesting background. You know, she started as a teacher, has transitioned into real estate. She now is a partner at an international company where they focus on development. So it's going to be great to hear her backstory and talk about what she's up to now. Amy, how are you?
Hi, doing well. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time to get on here. I know you are being international. You're a person who is busy, who comes and goes, and probably multiple time zones in your world. So I appreciate you taking the time to connect.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. Tell me, all right, so you started as a teacher. Talk to me about that background and how in the world you ever ended up in real estate.
Yeah, you know, I grew up with the mentality of it's really important to get your degree, get a job, and work hard in a 401k kind of thing. And then you'll eventually be able to retire. I do love teaching. I went and got my degree as a teacher, high school teacher. I taught at West High, which is kind of like the downtown inner city of as much as downtown of Salt Lake City can be. And I absolutely love that. I love the children. I kind of got sick of a little bit of the bureaucracy of politics stuff that happens with teaching. And then I started having my own kids. And so we decided, I don't know, let's make a transition. At first I stayed home with my boys, but during that whole time I was teaching, and I worked with USU Extension where I taught finances, and I even made like online first-time homebuyer classes for them that I'd work on at night. Definitely bootstrapped. My background, I came from a really, we'll just say not a privileged family. We'll say there were several years that we lived in a trailer on some land while we were trying to save up enough to be able to build a house. Yep. So came from a large family, came from work hard and you'll get out of whatever you're in. Yeah. And I kind of took that philosophy throughout. So then I was teaching, I stopped teaching, I was doing these other parts. And then I said to myself, well, my husband said, you know, you teach this and we do this. We started doing real estate, and it scared the heck out of me at first. And then we went from that to getting into real estate full on. So I was an investor first, and then I became a realtor, and that was a whole other journey with, you know, having mistakes, having problems. Sure. And then each of the problems actually made it a better step to where I'm at now.
Yeah. All right. So how long were you in teaching before you transitioned to ultimately getting into real estate, the very first real estate investment piece?
Yeah. So because I was in real estate investing first, we were investing for 3 years before I taught for about 6 and then did private study in these, you know, I teach to the WIC or people housing or things like that through the community. So I did that. I would save about 10 years of my life is that I was teaching and then doing 3 years of real estate that I was being an investor myself, and then decided to jump all in and become my own agent, became an agent and everything else.
Tell me, what was your very first investment?
First investment scared the crap out of me. It was our own house. So and we decided, we were living paycheck to paycheck. My husband had to ride his bike to work to save on gas. And we just we were grateful we had a house, this small house. Back in the day, we paid $125,000 for. My parents said that was way too expensive for a house. Can you imagine?
Yeah, right.
So we decided we can't live like this. We can't be so stressed about if we can afford formula or if we can afford gas. Like that's what we were picking between is formula or gas. And so we couldn't live like that. So we decided to shake things up. We researched the crap out of a lot of different things. And we decided, okay, we'll turn our house into a rental and we'll move out of that, and did kind of like a house hack. We moved into this dirtiest, grossest house ever. I remember, out of my beautiful, cute, clean house. I mean, it wasn't that big, but it was cute and clean. Yeah. And I moved into this smoker hoarder's house. It was rough. It was rough. But it was a journey. It was like a hard step that we took. And it really set us for some, eventually getting us to some financial freedom.
Yeah. All right. So you invest and you utilize that experience to continue your investing journey and eventually became an agent. What had you transition to becoming an agent? Yeah,
we started flipping houses. Mm-hmm. We had about 12 deals under our belt of different houses. And I had my fourth kid, and we decided, while I was pregnant with Lucy, my fourth, that's when we decided, let's get our license. You should get your license, Amy. You teach this, we do this. People are always asking you for advice. Just get your license and we can sell some of our own flips. And so at first it was for stingy reasons for our own deals, right? And then it just kind of blossomed to becoming a lot bigger. And now we have a pretty large team. The other motivation down that road was, I was an agent for a while, and then about 6 years. And then my husband was an international, he did a very large corporate job, and it was a very high paying job. But he traveled like crazy, like a lot. So he's a diamond medallion member of everywhere, And we kind of talked and said, I said, what do I have to do? What do I have to earn I don't want to be this single mom anymore of you traveling so much. The money's great, but I don't want to live like this anymore. And so we put a goal, and in a year I hit that goal and retired. He came and helped me manage my company. And then he kind of jumped off from there and then he was only on there for about a year or two. And then I said, okay, see ya, you handle this. I'm going to start this company now.
It's so good. So you set a financial goal to ultimately retire him from his corporate job.
Yeah.
How significant was actually setting that goal, putting a figure to it versus saying one day?
Yeah, that was huge. And actually my husband was he's an engineer, so he's a little analytical, and I'm a little more free spirit person. So it was difficult for him to give me a number that he would be comfortable with, because he knew as soon as I had that number, I would have it. It would work out. And so that meant him giving me this number would mean him being able to okay, we're really doing this, because he knew no matter what. And I'm sure at first he gave me a higher number than what we really needed, but it worked out, and we're grateful. We don't look back at all.
Yeah. So then you brought him into the business, and then eventually kind of divided and conquered, in the sense of you put him in charge of one.
He's a better business owner anyway. I'm what is that, Rocket Fuel? If you read that book, the visionary and the implementer.
And the integrator. Yep.
Integrator. That's what it is. Yep. Yeah. I'm a visionary. I have good ideas, and I get lots of things started. The day-to-day kind of,
yeah.
And he's great. He's great with the day-to-day.
The mundane, if you will. Yeah. Right. The engineers are really great at the integration and execution thereof.
Yeah. So it made a good team.
To elaborate on that a little more. What's that like? Because a lot of people end up working with their spouse primarily as a business partner, some with the same personalities, meaning, they're both visionaries or they're both integrators, and some on the opposite, just like you. What was that like early on working together?
It was all beautiful and never fought ever. No, we had a lot of, there was that phrase of stay in your lane.
Yeah.
We had a lot of that.
Yeah.
And it was difficult because I was technically now the expert at real estate and he was the new person. And then to have your wife kind of like tell you what to do, there was that part. And then I would say, well, this is how I've done it. And he's like, well, that system sucks. Let's do this. And I'd be like, well, I don't want to embrace that technology because everything had a system and I'm like, I just like to talk to people. And so, but that's what made it work. So it just was a lot of conversations. The other part that was difficult for us, and I think is difficult for other people as spouses when they own businesses together, is that our lives lived and breathed this business, right? And so date nights, we have a date night every Friday night, but we start talking about business and then, you separate business, kids and finances. It's like, well, heck, what are you actually? We're business partners. We're not husband and wife anymore.
Right.
And so that took a little bit.
How did you end up getting to that point where you can separate them so you can have that personal relationship outside of the business? Yeah.
And that's where it actually worked best was instead of us both working on the exact same cause of the exact same thing, was we picked a different lane. And I went mostly on investments first, and he went on the business operations. And then that's where we branched and I went to development. I did development only instead. And then he did Infinite or the residential real estate team. I still go to I still have some sales meetings. I'm there and we work in the same office and I'm there on our management meetings on Mondays to still give some of those visionary ideas.
Yep.
But I'm not the implementer. And we both have an underlying rule that he can overrule anything because he's in the thick of this business, but he can't overrule anything in my thick of my business.
He's on your business. He's not particularly involved in that integration thereof. Yeah. And so that's a piece straight from the book, right? Is that the integrator has the final authority to overrule the visionary.
Yeah. So sometimes I say things that would kind of screw things up.
As all visionaries do. Yes.
Yeah. Like things are too peaceful right now.
He's like, you don't know that pulls 22 and a half levers, a totally different direction. Right. Yeah. He's already got the wheels spinning. Exactly what that looks like. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So walk me through what your focus is. You mentioned development. So talk to me what the current business structure looks like at a high level, and then what your time is spent on primarily.
Yeah. So now this is a newer development. I had my own development company and then I merged with Y Street Capital. And like I said, they're based out of actually Canada. What was happening is we had started with a couple deals that we would work together with side by side. And we worked so well together and we were doing so many things and they needed a US person, right? Because they're based out of Canada. And they said, it was really the best of both worlds for us to integrate and work together. And they merged my development company into theirs. It's 5 partners, but the part I absolutely love is that each partner is completely has their own skill set. So we're not stepping on, we all have our own lane. My passion is I love to teach still and help people, walk people through. Remember, I was back to deciding between gas and formula. Yeah. And so I've been in those shoes and now I'm handling billions of dollars of funds, know. So I've seen both ends of the spectrum there and I understand how to do both, been through both. So my passion there, even though it's easier to take, larger fund money or family office money or, accredited investor funds. Yep. Where my passion really comes about is I do a lot of one-on-one game plans, you would say, is and walk somebody through hey, these are your baby steps to get to this level. Take these steps and then you can eventually get here because that's what we did. Yeah. Right. And so that's my passion and that's what I do almost every day. I can read Excel, but I just don't ask me to really do anything in Excel because it just, it sucks the life out of me.
Yeah.
But Patrick, my other partner, is like incredible wizard that's outstanding at it and remarkable at it. So we just, we just have different roles and responsibilities. So my biggest type is project acquisitions, finding new projects, networking with people, and then capital raising and, bringing the funds together and putting together the deal, especially the creative financing, thinking outside of the box.
Single family to agent, then to development. So build a bridge for me from agent to development to handling huge money and doing big projects. How did that come about? What were the steps?
Oh, what are the steps there? We had some problems along the way, I guess. So we remember we were investors first. We bought a lot of houses during the crash. And that was a really a blessing for us that we did buy a lot during the downturn. When everybody else was scared, that's when we doubled down and bought a lot more. And I helped a lot of other people do that as well. Like, hey, this is a good idea to be buying these properties. Yeah. Forget about your extra vacation, buy this house with me and I'll do all the work. And so I did a lot of that. And those investors that I helped back then, which weren't really quote unquote investors, they're just like average Joe W-2 people, right? But they were so grateful that I was able to change their financial future that they're, that game plan that I had set them up with, basically it just had trickled down to being larger money people. Yeah. They had more fun. So that's where it went to. We went and we kind of stopped at single family residences and we were like, we got to go bigger. We got to go bigger for our personal self. And that's when I got into storage units for ourselves. We invested in storage units ourselves. And then that's when I was like, okay, this is an incredible opportunity. And I could learn how to do syndications and take multiple people's different funds, following the SEC guidelines and be able to be more powerful, take the average person and be able to make something powerful. And that's, we went to that as soon as I got into the syndication that allowed for bigger projects. And at first I was just I'd come into projects on people saying I needed money. I didn't always know how to do all the project part. But I was a firm believer, if I don't know how to do it, I don't have to know how to do everything. I just have to surround myself around with a large enough team and smart people that do know how to do everything. Right. Because I'm not that, I'm not a super smart intellectual person. I have ADHD. I can barely remember what I was going to say the other day, Yeah,
right. Isn't that the benefit of projects that getting bigger allows, it speaks right to a team. Nobody does it by themselves. Right.
Yeah. And that's why it was so powerful for me to merge with Y Street, is because I was doing it by myself. I got stuck again. So something that happened before my husband quit is, as a real estate agent, I was making an incredible amount of money, but I was working like a dog. Like I'm a little bit of a workaholic. I love to work, so I have to be careful, and it feeds me. So I just have to be careful with that. Yeah. And so I was, before my husband had quit his job, he was traveling. I've got these, at that time, four kids. I was working like crazy, but my life balance was total shit show. Sorry. Yeah. Total crap, Yeah. Like my marriage was on the rocks. My kids were, being crazy. And I just like, life can't be like this. And so at first I got some bad advice saying, well, why life's crazy like this? It's because you're working outside the home. And I was like, fine, if that's what it takes, I'll sacrifice. And I quit like cold turkey, everything. I turned everything off. And then I was almost full force into being a mom that I was too crazy of a mom. Like, we were on hikes. We went to the museums, it was like every day. We were like, and my kids were like exhausted. Yeah. And they said, Mom, you do better. We like you better when you work. Just let's do a balance. And then that's when I decided, okay, quitting wasn't the answer. That's not, I still need to do what fulfills me. I just need to be more balanced. And then that's when we decided, okay, let's pay for a coach and figure out how to do a better system and get some systems in there.
Yeah. And put some structure in place to allow that balance so that you can leverage your time through those systems. And
so then fast forward into the development world, I was getting into that same trap again.
Sure.
Right. Because I had started this new business and I had a good balance then. And then I was getting back into my old habits of being a workaholic and not trusting on other people. And, it was just all in myself. And then that's when I was like, okay, I need to implement more people, surround more people around me.
Do you still find that when you go into, let's say, new projects or learning new things that it'll consume you? You go all in, and then it's not until you can kind of quote unquote master it that you can regress back to more of a balance and delegate some things off.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And so I had that problem, but now luckily we have systems in place. Yeah. And so like Paul, our systems guy in our team, he's like, no, this is our system now. Yes, Amy, I know you can do that by yourself. We could do this, but it also is better for us to hire this contractor, this individual to handle that. Like, for example, in development now, even though I know how to do all the entitlement work, I'm good at it. I'm great at talking to city councils and moving a project through. However, now I have found that it's worth paying for a local person to be there that walks into the office and I don't have to travel, and they handle that, and they already know all the people. It's not an outsider. And I let them have the fame or whatever you'd call that. And I just pay them instead. Yeah. Works a lot better.
That makes it a lot easier, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Knowing what you now know, what do you wish you would have done differently from the get-go?
I think the largest problem that I see, besides I wish I had started, I see all these like 20-year-olds and I'm like, oh, if I could have only started when I was 20, like, oh my gosh, do this, because it's a heck of a lot easier before you're doing this. And so that would have been great. But I don't regret that when we started. I was grateful that we listened to the advice that we got. I wish I would have started bigger sooner. There's that, but the largest problem I see when people are wanting to get into real estate is they all want to do it themselves. So that means they don't want to, I don't want to hire an agent, or I don't want to trust this person, or I don't want a partner, or I don't want, any of these other people. I'm going to do it all by myself. Yeah. And it really cripples them. It really does cripple them. Okay, my first, and then the second part I would say for advice for other people wanting to get going in real estate is it doesn't have to be the perfect deal. No. Just get a deal done. Right. Just start a deal. Start one. Hopefully it's not a total dive and a failure. Right. But so you got to be a little smart about it, but don't analyze the heck out of it. And if it's perfect numbers, because there were some deals I did back in the day that were not perfect numbers. Yeah. And looking back, I would do 20 more of those deals now from what they were. So they may not have been perfect numbers, and as long as you can get rolling, identify a deal, that means profit. You're going to learn a whole bunch along the way. Yeah, absolutely. Next one gets a lot easier. And then the other part is, along with that is, a fixed versus a growth mindset of, or I would say, well, there's that, but getting past the scarcity mindset. There's a lot of that in people starting, is they feel like, oh, this is secret, or my own deal, or I can't share this information, especially, so much in development. I can't, it's everything's secret in development too. Yeah, right. Not a sharing. And when you have that abundance mindset of being able to be sharing, that is when I have really had a lot of success with that. Being more open to sharing. How did you plug it all with a scarcity mindset? Yeah, first growing up poor, poor. And the reality is there was a lot of scarcity issues there. I mean, I have kids, I have 7 brothers and sisters. So there's a lot of scarcity with that, time and attention and all of that, and a middle child at that. So there's a lot of scarcity that was around there. And I had to kind of break through that for it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Let's do this. I want to move on to the final segment, what I call for impact. Your favorite quote: the best antidote I know for worry is work. The best cure for weariness is the challenge of helping someone who is even more tired. One of the great ironies of life is this: he or she who serves almost always benefits more than he or she who is served. Gordon Hinckley said it. What about that resonates most with you?
Yeah. So whenever I was feeling down or depressed, it was just, and maybe that just came from my family, it was get to work. It was get to work and work hard. And I took that all the way from when I was, in junior high and high school, that I was feeling super depressed from not having friends. And I went and served at a rest home instead. Like there was that. But whenever I was feeling stuck in work, that's when I started saying, okay, if I ever feel stuck in work, I'm like, okay, who can I teach who doesn't know some information that I'm trying to give? And maybe I can lift them up. And it had always reciprocated back. Like, for example, I did a workshop and everybody, was like, hey, I'm going to give the basics 101 on development. And it's free, not selling coaching. I'm not selling any kind of plan or anything like that. It's all free information. And everybody kept saying, what's the catch?
Yeah, right.
Amy, this was an incredible class. What's the catch? And I'm like, honestly, I just want others. I've been blessed and I wanted to share other people this information. It's a huge world. There's a lot of dirt out there to do a lot of projects.
Right.
Let's, just share. And from that class, I got one of the largest deals that we were working on. It's really a legacy project. They brought it and they said, hey, I brought this project and it's too hard for me, but maybe you guys would be interested. You could probably do it. And we looked into it and it's massive and it's a really exciting project. I'm really excited about it's 1,800 acres in a major city that has water rights. It's being annexed into the city. It's a life-changing thing.
That's right.
For it. So, and that's how I got it, by teaching others. By
giving.
By giving. And so that's kind of where that quote goes for, is work and give. And the more you give, karma comes back to you. That's
right. What do you think it is that holds most investors back from hitting their personal next level?
Well, first of all, not being clear on what their next level is. That's a critical part. So knowing that my husband's number of what that was, that was a critical part. And then it was easy from there once I knew that. But most people have no idea what they even want in life. Don't put a money figure. It was about a balance. I love to travel, and so it's like we have a certain way of traveling and we want to do that. So then I say, okay, how do I have to budget that? What do I have to do to hit this why? Usually if people aren't hitting their why, or hitting their goal, it's because they have no idea what that why is. Right. And it's not aligned. And then I also, the other obstacle I hear all the time is a spouse. It's either my husband or it's my wife. And it's holding something back. And they're just using that as an excuse. But really it's because they're not together aligned with what their why is. Yes. Because if they knew their why, that's why me and my husband when we first started and we moved from this cute little house to this quarter stinky house. It was all because of the why. We knew it was temporary. We're like, we can grind through this mud now so that we can get to what we really want later.
I think that's great. Nietzsche said it. He who has a why can endure anyhow.
Yeah.
So, but you got to know it.
But you have to know your why. And so if they don't know that why, it's difficult. One exercise, I have a mentor, his name is Tom Ferry in real estate.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I was at his house actually, and he anyway, we talked about this 10-year letter and we wrote it. And he's like, I want you to think about this 10-year letter. We did it two ways. First of all, we did a 10-year letter of what we really want our life to be, what it looks like, and with a very technicolor, like all these details about it. What does that look like? The other way, in a different exercise, we did, what are you afraid of? What will your life look like if you don't do anything?
If you don't achieve it, right.
If you don't achieve it.
Right.
Or you do the opposite of if you really mess up.
Right.
What does that life look like?
Right.
And it's funny. Yes, this 10-year letter over here was really, really inspiring. And I actually read it over and some things have changed, some of ambitions have changed a little bit, but I also distinctively remember what this life looked like if I wasn't held accountable for what I'm working on.
Yeah.
And this scared me a lot.
Right.
And that was at first a bigger motivator to get over here. So
yeah, moving out of pain.
Yeah.
Right. Outside of real estate, what are you most passionate about?
Besides my kids, my kids are kind of my life. I do a lot with them. I love to snow ski, water ski, hike, do a lot of that, pickleball, whatever you have life, playing cards, and then, like I said, travel and experiences are a huge thing for us. I just took my 15 and 14-year-old boys to Europe, and just to see some of those cathedrals or things that we went in, I had been in, but the passion or the excitement was to see them experience these things and have them look up in an awe and be like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. Or, oh my gosh, we are so blessed to live in America that we have, some of these luxuries that they realize other people don't have, these everyday luxuries.
That's right. What's your favorite way to make an impact in the community?
Like I said, teaching, that's probably my biggest thing, whether that's teaching skills to younger girls. Boys too, but I'm really passionate about teaching girls, you don't have to wait on a man to follow your dreams, and you can crush it yourself. That's important to me.
Yeah, that's terrific. For folks who want to connect with you, they want to find you, they want to follow you, whatever it may be, how can they do so?
Yeah. So ystreetcapital.com is our website. There's a link, book a discovery call and you can select me specifically. I purposely opened my calendar directly to do those free calls for people to be able to have, that one-on-one. Just be prepared. I'm pretty frank. I'm really down to business, and I don't take a lot of great excuses. So if you get offended really easily, maybe don't save yourself some trouble and don't do that. But I'm going to be really direct to you. I'm not going to be your best friend that'll say it's okay. But yeah, so ystreetcapital.com is our website. AmyJ@ystreetcapital.com is my email. I'd love to help other people. And yeah, that's it.
No, that's terrific. We'll make sure we get that link in the show notes below. Amy, it's been great having you on. It's a fun story to hear, from teacher all the way to international developer and everything in between, and a mom of 5 to boot. That's a lot of work and a lot of effort along the way. A whole bunch of stories.
Oh, thank you. It was great. It was a pleasure.
Yeah. Thanks so much. For everybody here at Real Grit, I'm Neil Timmins, reminding you that real estate requires real grit. See you next time. What if I told you can make 20 times the return of a single family fix and flip on your next big deal? Well, it's actually possible. It's possible inside the world of commercial real estate. Say, I'm inviting you to this free challenge. It starts August 15th. It's totally free. It's a 5-day challenge where I'm going to take you and deep dive into the world of commercial real estate, more specifically, capital multiplier properties, what that is, how we identify them. I'm going to show you how to identify them, how to evaluate them, and how to lock them up risk-free. I'm going to give you all the paperwork to do it. It's totally free. You can sign up to join us at www.20xprofitchallenge.com/real grit. That's www.20xprofitchallenge.com/real grit. And I'll see you in the challenge. If you like our content and want more, you can access it at realgritpodcast.com. You hear it guest after guest. Instinctively, you already know it. But let me call it out. The most expensive action is inaction. The real estate market is full of opportunities. You just need to uncover them. You can build a business that lasts for years, makes monumental impact in the lives of those that you love. It's not just about business, but about the freedom you get because of it. Have you ever heard the saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. I believe that partnering is essential. In fact, I partner with hardworking investors all the time. The point is that you can get a lot further with the right partner. Let me say it again, the right partner. If you've ever thought about partnering with anyone, or if you have a partner now, I encourage you to download my free Partner and Profit Guide, which includes the top 5 must-answer questions to evaluate a profitable partnership. You can find it at www.legacyimpactpartners.com. I'll see you in the next episode.